Let's talk more about this now with one of America's top diplomats, UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Ambassador Haley, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, George. It's great to be with you.
Let's start out with that French election. President Trump has been tweeting about it, calling it very interesting. It's probably one of the most consequential French elections of our lifetime. Marine Le Pen wants to pull back from NATO and Europe. Macron wants to embrace those institutions. What's at stake for the U.S.?
You know, I think that we're going to deal with whoever is selected as president. But what I can tell you is it shows that there's changing times in every country. And these elections now mean more than they ever have. But what we have said is whoever the president is, we know that France will continue to be an ally. We'll continue to work with them. And we look forward to seeing the results.
Even if they pull out of NATO?
I think that every country has to make their own decisions. And, you know, what you campaign on and what you actually do is something that's totally different. And the people of France will speak. And I think at the end of the day, that answer will come through and we'll deal with them as we need to.
Let's talk about North Korea. Over the weekend, we learned the American professor Tony Kim has been detained. Any idea why he was arrested or whether he'll be released?
I think that North Korea has been playing games from the very beginning. I mean, what we're seeing is that Kim Jong-un is trying to really show his strength to the people of North Korea, whether it's just with all of these threats or what he's trying to do in terms of talking in terms of trying to start a war. And what we've said is we don't want war, so don't start one. And I think that just by detaining a prisoner is one more way that he's trying to show his strength, and it's not going to work.
Do you think any one of those 3 American prisoners right now are in danger?
Well, I mean, our focus is to get them out. That's the goal. And, you know, you never like having many of your citizens that are detained. And hopefully we'll work with China and see if we can get them released.
President Trump did speak with the president of China, President Xi, overnight. And China urged restraint in this North Korean situation. Is the United States prepared to explore exit ramps from this crisis? For example, China has asked the U.S. to consider suspending military exercises with South Korea if North Korea agrees to suspend nuclear and missile tests. Is that an acceptable trade-off?
We're not going to do that. I mean, THAAD is too important at this point. What we can say is South Korea has been an ally from the very beginning. We want to protect them just as we're protecting ourselves, and that's what we said we were going to do, is we were going to have the backs of our allies, and we were going to call out our adversaries. And now North Korea has done nothing but give every reason why we need to have military exercises in South Korea. And I think that while we've worked well with China, I think we saw a unanimous Security Council release last week condemning North Korea on what they're trying to do with their testing and launches. And what we're saying is, look, we're not backing down from South Korea, and North Korea just needs to get in line. And I think China's been great at helping us do that.
Any way to de-escalate now?
I think, you know, really the power has been through China. They have shown genuine concern. I think that they are trying to put the pressure on North Korea, and I think it's working. And I think a lot of the rhetoric that you're seeing come out of North Korea is just more of them trying to get the confidence of their citizens, but they're not getting the confidence of people around the world.
You know, you were talking about the French elections. You said people campaign in one way and govern in another. As the president approaches the end of his first 100 days, he's modified many of his campaign positions, particularly in the area of foreign policy and national security. Doesn't think NATO's obsolete anymore. He's been very tough on the UN, but today he's with you hosting the ambassadors from the Security Council at the White House, taking a much harder line on Russia, softer line on China. Do you think the weight of the office is changing how he sees the world?
I think it's changing with the times. I mean, the times that we're dealing with right now, we are seeing some aggression from some bad actors. We're seeing the need for strength with our allies, and we're seeing the need that we have to show force when we have to show force. And I think what we've seen the president do is say that he's not afraid to make a decision, he's not afraid to act, and he's going to change with the circumstances. And that's exactly what we want to see in a leader.
On the United Nations, he's proposed major cuts in U.S. funding for the UN, dismissed it on Twitter as a club for people to talk and get together and have a good time. You think those ambassadors today will change his view on that?
He is right when we say that there's too much fat at the UN. And I think it's great that the Security Council members are going to have time with the president today. I think it's great that they're going to see General McMaster and hear our views and hear where we stand, because these are people that make a lot of important decisions, and we need to make sure that they're on our side.
Ambassador Haley, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks so much, George.